Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk to you about a new foundation from Benefit. It is their Hello Happy foundation, and I'm gonna be real with you guys. The way that I even came across this foundation is a couple of weeks ago, I got invited to a training with Benefit for my job. And at first, we had no idea what the training was gonna be about. We knew it was some new product. And this was before they had announced anything on social media. So when we got to the event and found out that it was foundation, I was a little skeptical at first because Benefit isn't known for having the most foundation shades, if we're being honest. But then when we found out that they were gonna have 12 shades, I was like, okay, Benefit, I see progress. Like, hopefully these are good. We'll see, we'll give it a chance. And that's when they debut the Hello Happy foundation. So, looks like this. It has like a little Pantone-esque box where they display the color on the outside, and then on the other side it has the name of the foundation, and so I picked number 6 at the event. And then when you open the box up, you get something that looks a little bit like this. So it isn't clear. It has the color of the foundation that you're picking on the outside, or at least as close to that color as possible. And then when you take the lid off, it comes in this kind of little dropper tube. So it looks a little something like that. Right off the get-go, just looking at the packaging, I'm not super big about the fact that that's a dropper because I like to use pumps. I like how pumps measure out, for me, usually the perfect amount of foundation. So it's a little bit harder when you're doing this kind of like dropping technique and trying to understand how much foundation you actually need. That, and then also the fact that the packaging isn't clear does make it impossible for you to see how much product is actually in the container. So you're relying purely on weight, and that can be frustrating depending on if you're running low and you don't know if you're gonna have enough to do a full face. So right off the bat, I'm not super happy with that, but all in all, I do think it's very travel friendly. That being said, I will say that when I first opened this baby, it literally squirted everywhere. Like, I don't know if like the air inside of it just bubbled up and then the product just needed to escape, so it just kind of everywhere. But it is messy. So again, I'm not really crazy about the packaging. Before we go into actually demoing the foundation, I want to talk about what the foundation claims to do. The foundation, like I said, comes in 12 shades. I believe their Hello Gorgeous or Hello Flawless, Hello Flawless foundation has about 9 shades. When they had their Professional foundation, I want to say that had maybe like 5 or 6 shades. So it's definitely an improvement to their line. But the 12 shades all have neutral bases, and according to them, that's supposed to make it a lot easier for salespeople like me to match customers, and as well as for guests in order to find their own shades themselves. Neutral is the most universally flattering undertone, so whether you're actually are neutral or you're more warm or more cool, neutral is somewhere in the middle, so hopefully that should allow you to better find your shade. It is a natural matte finish for the foundation, and it is buildable, so it's more of a light to medium coverage foundation, but you're supposed to be able to build it up easily while also making the foundation feel weightless. It also has an SPF of 15, so you're getting some UV protection. 15 doesn't really seem a lot when you compare it to the It Cosmetics CC cream, which has a 50 SPF, but 15 is at least something, so it is helping somewhat in terms of protecting your skin from the sun. But one of the cool things about this foundation is it's supposed to contain soft focus optical blurring spheres that are supposed to help blur imperfections while also keeping the foundation lightweight. It also contains shea extract, which is very moisturizing, and that aids in making the foundation smoother, as well as allowing it to protect your skin. It's also oil-free, so it's supposed to be meant for people of all skin types, so even if you're oily like me, you should be able to wear it, as well as if you're dry. It does have a bit of that shea extract in, so it's going to be a little bit more moisturizing there as well. And it is a 12-hour wear, so 12-hour wear is reasonable to me. I hate it when companies are like, this is a 24-hour wear foundation. foundation. If you're anything like me, the second you get home, the first thing I do is take off my makeup. So 12 hours is a little bit more reasonable for me. So going back to the shades, like I said, there's 12 of them. Shades 1 through 3 are the light shades. Shades 4 through 8 are medium, and shades 9 through 12 are deep. I decided to pick out shade number 6, which is described as a medium neutral warm, which is kind of interesting how they kind of combine neutral with warm in their description. I know in like some of the colors they described them as neutral and cool, which was a little bit weird, but yeah. But I decided to go with the shade number 6 because 5 was a little too cool toned for me and 4 was a little too light. So I have a feeling the shade might be a little bit off, but I think I can make it work. Now that we have talked about the foundation a little bit, let's get into applying. So when you're using this foundation, I would recommend shaking it first. But before I even go into putting that on my face, I'm going to start by priming my face. So I'm going to use my Tarte Clean Slate Timeless Smoothing Primer. This is my favorite primer at the moment. I have crazy large pores, like you could get lost in these pores. So my goal in life at all times is to fill them. And Tarte, one of my favorite people on YouTube, introduced me to this primer, and since then I have never gone back. So I just kind of like to push it into the pores to fill them up and all along my T-zone. So I know this is supposed to be a blurring foundation, but since it's supposed to be more light in coverage, I really want to make sure that my pores are really good because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to rely on the foundation coverage wise since I'm a full coverage queen. Let's try something else new. I'm going to add actually a little bit of this Pure 4-in-1 correcting primer. It's a little bit more hydrating. I'm going to add that to the outer perimeter of my face real quick. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this foundation retails for $29. So that's still pretty affordable for a high-end foundation in my opinion. So let's try it out. I'm gonna start by putting, I guess, a couple of drops on my hand. And I'm going to take a little brush and dot that kind of all over my face. Okay, yeah. I picked a kind of a tan shade. So clearly I wish I was tanner than I actually am. So sometimes I'll pick foundations a little bit darker than I am because in my mind I'm like, Alexis, you're gonna get tanner. Like, you need to have a foundation that's gonna match you. And then this happens. But it's not bad. I can easily make this work, but I feel like if I try to build this up to a medium coverage, the shade difference is gonna be a little bit more obvious. So far though, it's definitely giving me a very sheer light coverage. So what I'm gonna do is do kind of a light layer all over my skin, and then if I feel like I need a little bit more, I'm gonna go with a second layer. And already I feel like I need to add more foundation. Like, I feel like that foundation didn't go very far in my opinion. Other first impressions is it's a little bit waterier than foundations that I'm used to wearing. Typically I like something that's a little bit thicker, but for something that's supposed to be weightless and lightweight, that makes sense to me. Smell wise, it doesn't smell the greatest in my opinion. Not that foundations typically smell all that great. One of the few foundations I actually do like the way it smells is the It CC cream, and I think that's just because it smells like skincare, although a lot of people don't like the way that that smells. But this one kind of smells like, I don't know what is that scent? It's like almost kind of sweet smelling, but then it also smells a little bit like self tanner. I don't know, I'm confused. Okay, this coverage is super light. Super light. This would be a good foundation to just kind of throw on and like go outside and run errands in if you're not like really into a whole full coverage that day. Like I could see this being a really nice easy option. As far as how it feels on the skin, it's actually, it does feel pretty weightless. Like I've been slathering it on trying to build this coverage up, and it doesn't feel like I have a whole lot of product on my face, which is saying something. And kind of looking into the camera right now, I do think that it did help, you know, blur my imperfections a bit. But you definitely still see my skin poking through. Like you see my lines from my glasses, marks here on my nose, those are still kind of showing through. I had a little bit of like a breakout happening down here, and that is still kind of showing through the foundation. So definitely on the sheer side. I feel like this is as good as it's gonna get right now, but all in all, I'm liking it so far. It's drying pretty well. Skin is still slightly tacky, but a lot less tacky than with other foundations, and it does still feel really lightweight. Color isn't horrible actually. The color is pretty decent, so maybe I was being a little hard on myself earlier. But sticking with the kind of lightweight theme, I'm gonna take my Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer in the shade Light, and I'm gonna go ahead and conceal my under eye area. And because I'm lazy today, I'm just gonna use the same brush that I used for my foundation, which is the IT Smoothing Foundation brush, by the way, in case you're interested. I'm gonna use that to blend out this concealer. I think I used a little bit more than I would have probably used just because the foundation was so sheer. I feel like I kind of want to bump up the coverage a little bit more, so that's why I used a little bit more. Man, these like glasses marks do not go away. Do any of you guys wear glasses and struggle with covering that up when you do makeup? Because like I start my day off with my glasses on, and then eventually I put my contacts in, and I always have these huge marks here that never want to go away. It's frustrating. Okay, that concealer is still pretty lightweight, so I don't think it changes the look of the foundation all that much. I think I still have a light coverage happening right now. You can still see a bit of my skin peeking through. So yeah, in case you're wondering, Naked Skin Concealer pairs well with this foundation. Let's set it. What do we want to set it with today? Guys, I got so many powders in this drawer, I don't even know what to use. Okay, sorry guys. So while I was applying this lovely powder to my face, my camera decided to get really hot and turn off on me. So yeah, didn't know that happened. And I honestly have to be somewhere in like 30 minutes, so I went ahead and just quickly finished my face. But all I did was finish up by setting my face with this powder, the All Nighter Waterproof Setting Powder from Urban Decay. Added a little bit of my Saddle Bronzer from Anastasia. And then, because I wanted to play around with some new stuff, I added some of this Bareback Nudestix, which is this kind of like soft dusty pink. Fun story, I bought this today and I actually ended up buying the wrong color, so I think I'm going to return it. I wanted to try it on to see how it looked, but it wasn't as pigmented as the color that I wanted, which was the one that's in the nudes, I think is what it's called, in the nude or in the nudes. But I wanted to stick with a kind of like natural face, which is why I went for this. But then because that was doing me wrong a little bit, I added a bit of this Wet n Wild blush from their, which collection is this? This was the, what was it called? Oh crap. The Flutter Parrot. Guys, I'm sorry, I forgot. I can't remember what it was called, the collection, but it's the Hummingbird Hype one. It's in that new Paradise collection that they just came out with that has the packaging that looks like this. I can't remember what it's called right now. And then I just added a bit of my Urban Decay lip gloss in the color Backtalk, and then put the same bronzer and blush color on my eyes and some mascara and called it a day. So I'm gonna go ahead and run my errands and we're going to see how this foundation lasts. So far, this is what we're looking like. Coverage, decent. I don't look super oily yet, which is great. I don't feel sticky at all. I will be back with you guys in a couple of hours for a check-in and we will see how this new foundation stacks up. See you guys soon. Okay guys, I'm back and this is my 6-hour check-in. Been wearing this foundation out and about. I went and ran some errands and hence the Ulta bag on the bed. Went and ran some errands, had a little cookout, ate outside, drank some wine, read a book, and this is what I look like. I haven't blotted at all and I am looking hella greasy. The first places that typically get oily for me are on the nose, and that's definitely showing through. So is the forehead. So compared to some of my other foundations, I don't think that the matteness of it is holding up at all. I will say that throughout the day it did feel really weightless, and on the areas where I am kind of dry because I do have combo skin, like my cheek areas and around my head, like there isn't any oily and it doesn't feel cakey at all either. But in my T-zone area, as you can see, I am an oily mess. So I'm gonna put the camera down for a second and we're gonna blot and see if that helps this situation out a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some oil blotting sheets, just have some here from NYX. Yeah, so I'm gonna blot my face to see how the foundation holds up with blotting papers. I want to see whether or not it's going to be disturbed or get lifted off with the papers, or if it's just going to stay locked in place, which is what we want. So I'm going to start with my chin, and that's already a lot of oil. And right by my lip. I usually save my nose for last because it's a lot. Already looking a little bit better. Okay. I think we're gonna need another one. Yeah, we're gonna need another one. Okay, let's take number 2. Yeah, look at that oil, guys. People don't believe me when I tell them I'm hella oily. And I always get really oily like right above my eyebrows, which is awful. Okay, so we've done 2 blotting papers. That's 2 blotting papers worth of oil. That's a lot of oil. But my face looks halfway decent. So the foundation is still on. It's a little bit of splotchiness where my blush and bronzer was, but that's not necessarily the foundation's fault. But yeah, I mean, it's holding up decent. Granted, this is the 6-hour mark, so probably would have wanted to see it at the 8-hour mark a little bit better, to see how it lasts, since that's typically like the length of average person's workday. But overall, not horrible. I do typically get oily in those areas, so I wasn't really surprised at all about that. But I do think that I got a little bit more oily than I normally do. with my more fuller coverage foundations, so I do think that is worth noting. However, I will say that it did feel like I didn't have a whole lot of stuff on my face throughout the day, which was really nice. I'm gonna have to wear this foundation a couple more times, but as of right now, I would give it a 5. Is that being... I mean, I give it maybe like a 5 or 6. I don't know. I have to see, because like I'm not wowed enough to give it a really high rating, but I don't hate it. I'm not super disappointed in it. I think for what it is, a nice, really quick, lightweight foundation, it did a good job of just blurring my imperfections and giving me something easy to wear throughout the day. However, I don't think its lasting power was all that great. I'm not super keen on this type of packaging with the little squirty applicator thing. I do think the shades are better, and the shade all in all looks decent on me. I think on camera it looks a little bit better than it does in person. It reads a little bit darker in person. But yeah, all in all, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. So stay tuned. I'm gonna wear it a couple more times and see how I feel. And maybe when I do my June hits and misses, I'll kind of come back to it and let you guys know how it's been wearing for me. So with that, I think it's time to end this video. So thanks again for watching. Please subscribe and comment down below how you think the foundation wore on me. If you think maybe I'm being a little too harsh or not harsh enough, let me know. This foundation, by the way, I don't think it's in stores yet. I believe it comes in stores on the 29th, but it is available online now. So if you do want to order it and try it out, you can, but it's not gonna be in stores until the 29th. So thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you again next time.